All right, Bigfoot Society, we've got the privilege of talking to Mike Familant from In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. Yeah, In the Shadow of Bigger and I, we're a YouTube show. We go around the country and we look for Bigfoot. It's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Man, it's been a while since I talked to you. I had interviewed Mike. You were like one of the first original interviews that I
I think
had.
so. Yeah, the OG starting it
The
off. Yeah.
OGs, but Zoom destroyed it. And
Oh
so it's lost
no.
forever. You were one of the first 10 people I talked to. And it was a wild one. And at the end, Zoom was like, nope, it's not going to happen. You're going to
Yeah.
have to wait a few more years.
Well,
Finally got around to chatting with you. But man, you have really been up to some wild stuff. You are going all over the place. And I'm just excited to talk to you. What's the elevator pitch that you give people for In the Shadow of a Big Red Eye besides being a rockin' YouTube channel all about Bigfoot research?
it's like the true uncut, real, like non-edited version of some of the shows that are on TV right now, except it's what Bigfooting is really about. Some of the shows on TV and people that spend any time or amount of time in the woods looking for Bigfoot realize that the shows on TV don't accurately depict the way Bigfooting is done. So I was like, I am going to make a show that's not based off of ratings. I don't care if anybody doesn't like the show. It's just a hobby for me. And I started doing that in 2016, making the show. And now we got like 2.7 thousand subscribers. It's crazy.
There's something for everyone on the channel. You go everywhere from New Jersey, of course, down to Florida. You are going all over, at least definitely the eastern side of the US, I would say.
I have not been west of the Mississippi yet looking for Bigfoot, but I'm hoping to change that next year for the Mike Familant
Ooh.
Library Tour, Searching America Tour 24.
I'm telling you, I'm west of the Mississippi, and I'm telling you, Bigfoot is out here. So
Oh,
you got to
yeah.
get out here. You got to hit up some Oklahoma. You got to hit up
Oh, man.
some
Yeah.
Iowa stuff, some Missouri. Oh man, it's gonna get wild for you. But let's rewind a little bit, Mike. What's your origin story with what got you involved with all the Bigfoot craziness to begin with?
Yeah. It's a kind of funny story. I was living in Florida. I was working at a beach resort in Sarasota, Florida, which was like the best job that I've ever had before in my entire life. And I was watching Finding Bigfoot on TV. It was on in the background. I didn't have any real apparent liking to the show or whatever. It was just on. And at the end, they were like, hey, if you want to come out with us, you could pay this ridiculous amount of fee and sign your life away and you can come out on an expedition with these guys. And I'm like, there is no way I am not doing that. That sounds like it's incredible. So I signed up that night. I was engaged at the time, did not tell the fiance what we were doing. This was going to be like a little pre-wedding little surprise thing.
Wow.
And anyways, this is my first time ever camping. I was an inside child growing up. I was never outside TVs, video games. That was my thing. So this was my first time ever camping. I had to acquire some camping gear, my tent, my sleeping bag, literally everything. So I'm getting the stuff prior to this expedition, and I'm hiding it in the closet. So my fiance didn't see this. Finally, she's cleaning one day, which she never cleaned. So I was shocked that she found it, but she found it and she was like, Mike, what are we doing? I said, hun, we are going to go look for Bigfoot in North Florida. And then we broke up. There was that. But, anyways, get up to North Florida. I invite a buddy, an EMT friend of mine. I'm an EMT, or I used to be an EMT, and I invited a friend of mine, and we went up there on this BFRO expedition. Nothing happened. We talked to witnesses. We did the night hikes. We actually found a Florida panther footprint, which is really cool. As at the time there was only like 25 of them left in the wild. This is back in 2011, and yeah, so nothing happened except the last night, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and me and my buddy Jimmy, we are sitting next to our campfire, and we hear a tree knock. I didn't think anything of it. I said, "Oh, that could be anything." About 2 minutes later, a tree knock from the complete opposite direction. So I immediately think that it was the expedition organizers that are in the woods knocking on trees because we paid a lot of money, didn't have any Bigfoot activity. So this has got to be what's going on. They're hoaxing us, obviously. Nothing happens. About 10 minutes goes by, and you hear come crashing down through the trees a fist-sized rock. And it was at this point in my life where I said, "Nope, this is how horror movies start. I am out of here." Right? My buddy's like, "If you want to sleep in the car, then," and by the time he said that, I was just in the car. And finally, he talked some sense into me. He's like, "Mike, Bigfoots knock on trees, they throw rocks. This could be squatchy activity that we're having." So I was like, "Yeah, I suppose so. All right." So he talked me back out by the campfire. Over the course of the next 15 minutes, four more of these fist-sized rocks come crashing, landing down 5 to 10 feet from us. So that's horrifying as it is, right? So I'm petrified. This is going to be a sleepless night. We already are aware of that. And my buddy, I got an idea. I'm going to throw a rock back at it.
That's
So
a
he
bad idea.
takes, it was a bad idea. Yeah. So he took one of the rocks and he chucked it back in that direction, right? And we knew it wasn't a person because a 15-pound laptop-sized boulder came crashing down, landed 5 feet from us. And then that was it. That was done. Nothing else happened that night. The next day, we asked our neighbors because there was a lot of other people at the expedition. We're like, "Hey, did you guys hear or see anything?" Nobody heard or saw anything. So then we did some measurements because we wanted to be all scientific and stuff because that's what we saw them do on TV. We did a measurement of how close this thing could have been that was throwing the rocks, and because of the terrain and the topography and stuff, the closest this thing could have been was 75 yards away. Unless Nolan Ryan's chucking rocks in the middle of the Florida Panhandle at 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't know.
How did you go to sleep after that? I
Oh,
mean,
you got to think about it. What can throw rocks? A person, primates, or Bigfoot. Those are the only three things, right? If there was a population of primates living in North Florida, I think we would know about it. They're not going to be like Bigfoot stealthy. We would know that they were up there. We actually, in fact, do know that there's primates living in Florida. But you can rule out a person because it was just so heavy. I couldn't chuck it 10 feet rather than coming crashing down through the woods. That takes substantial power.
that kinda gets it on your radar. Was it after that game on, you're going out, you're making this video, or is there a little downtime before the YouTube series actually started kicking off?
Yeah, the YouTube series actually took 5 years to get in the making. So after this expedition, we are totally into it now. We are
Mm.
everything, Jimmy and I, everything about Bigfoot we can get our hands on. We're talking to researchers, witnesses, finding hot spots, everything we can do because we think this is so cool. And about 3 weeks goes by, we go out and we call ourselves experts now because it's been 3 weeks and we know everything. So we're gonna go out solo, doing our own thing. One night expedition, I'm doing Bigfoot calls like it's my job. I'm doing them every 2 seconds, right? Because that's what I see him do on TV. So I'm just imitating what I see him do on TV, right? So I'm doing these Bigfoot calls, and Jimmy, he's got his 10 million lumen spotlight that he's got shining around, right? The light shines upon 2 pairs of eyes. One pair was a reflecting red color, and the other was like a reflecting aqua blue color. And, they were just looking back at us, and we thought in our infinite wisdom of everybody and everything in the woods, we thought that it was people. We didn't realize people don't have eye shine. We can't see at night, right? Since we were all so new at this. But anyways, we start yelling, "Hey, we're just out looking for Bigfoot. Sorry, we'll go back to camp," type of thing. And just the eyes are just staring back at us. And these suckers are about 7.5 feet off the ground. So we're like, okay, we still think it's a person. We think they're actually illegally hunting out there because it's a big hunting area. So, and it was poaching at night. But anyways, so the eyes are just staring back. The one set, the red set, turns, looks at the other set, turns and looks back at us, and then blinks. Another nope moment out of there. But we did go back the next day and we found the eyes were at about 7.5 feet. We did a recreation like we saw him do on TV and everything like that. So those were just the two first times that I went out looking for Bigfoot, and we had some really incredible activity, and that's what I think got me so into it, so hardcore, if you will, so quickly.
Oh, I can definitely see it. If that level had happened to me right off the bat, it would have the same effect. We had some wood knocks, tree pushed over on my first time out in Iowa with Tate. When does red eye become involved?
Okay, perfect. Perfect segue. 2016, I get a little homesick. I'm living in Florida still. I get a little homesick of New Jersey. Shocking. I know that's crazy to get homesick over New Jersey, but it happens, people. Anyways, so I moved back home and I was like, man, my Bigfooting career's over. There's no Bigfoot, New Jersey. Little did I know, starting to do research, and I quickly established that a Facebook group called Sussex County Bigfoot. And I networked with a lot of really interesting people, met a lot of really cool people. And shortly thereafter, I decided I'm going to make a show, and it's called In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. And I called it that because in 1972, a state park ranger up here in High Point State Park in northwestern New Jersey, he was on patrol during the night. He was on foot patrol, walking one of the trails at night, and he came across two pairs of reflecting red eyes. Very similar what happened to us in Florida, right? He put that on his report, and somehow the newspaper got a hold of it, and the next day, Big Red Eye was front page in the newspaper. That's
Mhm.
little Sussex County's little Bigfoot claim to fame there.
And it looks like from looking over your channel, you've done more than a few investigations in that area of New Jersey, correct?
Yeah, yeah, it's, High Point State Park is about 45 minutes from me, and we just have so many good squatching areas in northwestern New Jersey, and in New Jersey itself. People don't realize the sheer acreage that we have for something large to be able to be supported and stuff like that. So it's it's staggering when you think of Bigfoot in New Jersey. People think you're crazy, but it's it's really cool. I'm a very big fan of the bear and Bigfoot. They eat similar things to apex predators living in the same area, probably eat the same things, right? We
Mhm.
actually have in Sussex County the highest density of black bear population east of the Mississippi. So I think if there would be anywhere that Bigfoot would be able to be supported, it's somewhere where it has the food that can support these large predator creatures, right? New Jersey definitely can support a large animal like that.
Absolutely. When you are going out to these certain spots in Sussex, have you had any interesting encounters?
We've gotten some of the best pieces of evidence that I've ever collected, from Sussex County, and that's probably just to say because I go out there all the time, I'm obviously gonna get more evidence from there, but, we've collected a footprint back in 2016, 15.5 incher that I posted everywhere that I could possibly find, track identification pages, everything like this, and people just say that it can't be real, but I found it. We've gotten some vocalizations from High Point State Park. There's a gas line that runs through the north end of the county here, and I think, that's a Bigfoot highway. I think Bigfoots would follow these gas lines and power lines and things, but we were on this gas line. We did a barred owl call, which is an owl that lives around here, and about 5 seconds later, we got, like, this vocalization, 3 distinct loud howls. I always try to vet my evidence before I release anything. So I would send it away. I sent that piece of audio off to a linguist from the military who also does Bigfoot research on the side. And he came back and said, because of X, Y, and Z, this is outside of human vocal range and it's no known animal.
Have you ever heard any whoops type vocalization? Anything like the gibbon type sounds or
The most recent one we had up of that was over the summer. I was up in Whitehall, New York, or actually in Vermont, in Beaumont, Vermont, in
Mhm.
the next to the state park there. And we went up to this one lake and we hiked up there, and it was like 2 in the morning, and it sounded just like a person, but a monkey. We did a whoop, and it just did the same exact thing back. It wasn't an echo, and it was like, man, like we are literally 2 miles from the closest road. There's no campgrounds. It's those things that make you go, "Hmm," and make you really wanna go back and figure out what's making those sounds.
going back to New Jersey for a little bit, a few months back, I had a gentleman on a few times. His name is Swamp Dog. He's a great guy. but he is a guy who is seriously researching in southern New Jersey.
Oh, cool.
There are some really interesting things going down. I don't know if you're familiar with the Vineland, New
Yeah.
Jersey area in the
Uh-huh.
South. Have you ever gone down into the South part of New Jersey at all?
Man, the South Jersey is really wild because you have the 1.1 million acre Pine Barrens Preserve, right? And
Mhm.
that's right outside of right in Byland's right inside of that area, and that's obviously known for the Jersey Devil, right? The South Jersey and the Pine Barrens known for the Jersey Devil, but also Bigfoot. We have found baby Bigfoot tracks down there, so that was very interesting. We actually found them on 3 separate occasions, 3 different years apart in the same area. We actually went down there not too long ago. We went out with this YouTuber, very popular YouTuber who contacted me and was like, "I'm doing a 50 state cryptid thing, and I want you to be New Jersey's guy." And I'm like, "Okay." So we went down there looking for the Jersey Devil, and he actually obtained some goat's blood, which are goats are they're said to
Bro.
Jersey Devil said to eat goats. So we got some goat blood and we smeared it all up on this tree. Got some trail cams and stuff. Yeah, we go big.
Wow.
Mhm.
Who was do you mind, dropping the name of who that was?
Channel 5, Andrew Callahan.
Okay. I'll have to look that up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a news real fake news site, something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
But
Cool, cool.
it's
Alright.
interesting. Yeah, he's got like 2.2 million subscribers or something like that. It's crazy. We've been down there, and it's I always like to have fun, so why just research Bigfoot when you could do both? 2 birds, 1 stone, right? All you gotta do is look up. It's the same thing.
So, what are your thoughts as to some people think of the Jersey Devil as just an interesting folklore story. Some people
Yeah.
actually think that there is a creature out in the woods of the Pine Barrens. Do you find yourself more in either camp or
Yeah, I think after doing a whole lot of research into it, I wanna say it's a really good folklore story. What's interesting about it is that you can piece together every part of that story can have happened. Like the family, the Leeds family is actually a real true family. You could trace it back. I have a brick from the chimney that the Jersey Devil was said to fly up through, which is really cool from the original household. That's creepy. Andrew Callahan got
Mm,
me that too. Yeah, I will say though, I do my library presentations, and I do have a slide in there about the Jersey Devil. I had a presentation in South Jersey, down the Pine Barrens area, and I used to say that I think the Jersey Devil was actually a misidentified Bigfoot, and people are a little appalled by that.
okay.
Apparently, down in South Jersey, my thing is 7 foot tall, screams at night, glowing red eyes, sounds like a Bigfoot to me. But I think initially it was a misidentification of a sandhill crane, which is a big bird that may have weather pattern could have caused it to come up to New Jersey, and they don't have internet or anything like that, so there's no way of looking up what kind of bird this is, but it looks like a devil, it screams like a devil, and has red eyes, so, of course, that would be a flying devil bird, the Jersey Devil.
I like the idea of it maybe being a misidentified Bigfoot. When I hear about the Pine Barrens, and I've talked to people a few times about it, there's some really weird stuff that happens in in those Pine Barrens for some reasons. Have you ever had anything weird happen to you in there on expeditions or
Routinely, when we're camping, big trucks will come into the campground and just, like, idle there for 15, 20 minutes.
oh,
Uh, tinted win not a cop type of thing, but just odd. We've been late one night, and we were deep in the Pine Barrens driving in there. I mean, you can get very lost in there. We came across either it was somebody burying a body or somebody looking for Bigfoot, one of the 2. It was one of the 2. We didn't stick around to find out, but yeah, it's just a crazy area. I will say, if anybody's interested in going out to investigate in the Pine Barrens, the New Jersey State Park Police do a very proficient job making sure nobody is breaking the rules down there. Keep that in the back of your mind as well.
yes, and no breaking the laws, guys, because
No,
they
and I got pulled over one time, and the cop was really cool. I was at a memorial, it's Carranza Memorial, used to be and a Mexican aviator went down the Pine Barrens. They put this memorial up for him,
hmm,
and I was down there just showing my friends the memorial because 'cause they've never seen it, and state park police pulls up. "What are you doing?" And we have all of our camera gear. We're in camo. We're looking for Bigfoot. And he's, "What? Oh, that's interesting. I don't think there's any Bigfoot here, but if you want, you can. You just can't be at the memorial." I was like, "Oh, okay. Thanks." And then he lets go. So it was weird.
You had an interesting video about investigating the Brown Mountain Lights.
Oh, that was a cool trip. Yep, down in North Carolina. I did it on a last minute thing. Knew about it, and I was staying down in Asheville, which the Brown Mountain Lights are about hour 15 from Asheville. Just like one night, I'm gonna take a ride up there, and the road to get up to where we were, I think we're at Linville Gorge, I think it's called, is not for the faint of heart. So you need a four-wheel drive to get up there. But if you want to check it out, it's really cool. There's a big overlooking thing, and what's said is near or on the mountain in the distance. Actually, not Brown Mountain; it's a different name of a mountain. But anyways, they say that there's these ghost lights that appear. Some people think they're fires. Somebody starts a fire. Some people think they're headlights. And sometimes they even appear off the mountain, as in the sky or behind the mountain, which is unusual. And sometimes there's fog that comes off the mountain in very peculiar spots. I just wanted to go out there just to see if I could find anything. I sat out there for about 2 hours and did not hear nor see anything, but it was very beautiful.
Another one that really caught my eye was that what happened to you when you were doing a Bigfoot call one time in Florida
Oh,
is
yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
it's maybe even a cautionary tale.
All right, let me just say, this was after, like, a 10-mile hike in
Okay.
Florida's heat. This is day 17 tent camping for us, so we were a little exhausted by this point. So the story is we walk out to this lake in the middle of Myakkahatchee River State Park, or my no, my Myakka Forest. Anyways, we get out to this area and everybody's, "Mike, do a Bigfoot call. Mike, do a Bigfoot call. You're the best at it. You're the best at it." I'm like, "I'm really not feeling it, guys. I'm not." And they're like, "No, you got to do one. It's the last one at the trip." It's like, "All right, fine." I didn't even it wasn't even like a long howl, it was a very good, powerful vocalization, and I passed out after it a little bit.
You definitely did. Knowing that background information, I could definitely, see how that could happen, though, being deep into camping for that long. You're going around all over the place for red eye. Has there been a time when you are going out into a state forest and you've just had something happen that really took you back, or it just things got really intense?
Yeah, just the other day, we were hiking up in Stokes State Forest, which is in northwestern New Jersey, and we had a Class A encounter of a bear box. And let me tell you, they put bear boxes in the state forest by the campsite, so you put your food in there so the bears can't get them.
Okay.
And these things look or they're about the same size as a extremely large black bear, and dark. They paint them black for some reason. So we were going around a corner and we came across this, and it was darker than the rest of it. It was pitch black out. I'm like, "FLIR, FLIR, get the FLIR." And so we're getting the FLIR up, there's nothing on it, and finally we get this big spotlight on it, and it's just a bear box. So that was crazy. And this happens, I think, to everybody that goes Bigfooting. You get the occasional, I'm walking and I'm gonna pick up a stick from the trail just to make sure it's not blocking anybody on the trail, but it's actually
Mhm.
a 6-foot snake, that kinda thing.
Oh, boy.
That's a common thing that happens to me apparently. But no, I think the most I take out of going on these expeditions really is we get a lot of cool stuff. I know when I was down in West Virginia, in Sutton, West Virginia, there's this place you can go down to, and I went down there doing it's right along this reservoir, and I was doing a Bigfoot call. I wanted to go down there at night, and I literally went down there every night, not because it was squatchy, but the whole forest was just a firefly lit up. It was casting shadows. That's how many fireflies there were. I was like, "Man, this is the coolest thing." This is why you go Bigfoot. It's every place that I go, it's not about looking and finding Bigfoot. That's not what I do. I like to go and see areas that you wouldn't necessarily see. Like today, we just got back from a little excursion up in the Catskills. We were up there for a couple days doing a little filming, and we stopped at this waterfall today, Kills Waterfall, and it was just absolutely incredible. And it wasn't anything Bigfooty related or anything like that. It's just one of these side things that you do because you're in the area, and it's those things. It's the views from the mountaintops and those waterfall things that really make you remember why you're doing what you're doing. It's not about finding Bigfoot. It's about seeing something and being outside in nature. That's how it is for me. I got a message back on YouTube, and this is back in like season 2. I get an email from somebody that says, because of your videos, I watch your videos every week, and because of your videos, I live vicariously through you because I have a new illness that I
Mm.
will not let me out into the woods anymore. So you're
Oh,
the videos that I watched to experience what I used to do because you're doing the same thing that I used to do. And I said, oh man, that's really neat. That's how I knew, like, we're filming season 8. That's that's just how it goes, right?
yeah. You experience stuff like that, and you're like, okay, this is actually making a difference in someone's life for sure. It makes it all worthwhile.
I know that's why I do it, and I'm pretty sure that's probably why you do it too.
I really like providing a platform for people to share their encounters where it's a safe, respected environment. And I've noticed that you have started to do that as well. Do you mind sharing about you have a series where it's almost you run into these people and you get them to share. How did that come about?
It's Bigfoot Campfire Stories. Basically, what it was, I have some of these really great long interviews with some really unique people, and I can't, for the life of me, fit them down into one episode of my show because it would just be the interview is the whole show, and I can't have that. You know what I mean? So I decided to. I'm gonna make this extra special series, docu series of, and it could be from 2 minutes long to 2 hours long, however they want to talk about their experiences. And what I've gathered from the feedback is that everybody thinks it's extremely raw. It's not edited. It is right from the mouth of the person that had a class A sighting with a
Mm,
Bigfoot. That's that's cool. And a lot of times, 90% of the times, we're actually back in the area. I know there was one hunter that had not gone back to the area for 30 years before I took him back there. And he was the first time,
wow.
back there that I took him that he saw a Bigfoot, which is crazy.
Mm.
But, yeah. But speaking of platforms to allow people to open up about their Bigfoot encounters, I don't know if you've seen my vehicle, the Bigfoot Mobile Command Center. It's all
Yeah,
graphicked
I've
out with, yeah.
seen a little bit of it in videos, but tell us about that. It looks very cool.
Yeah, it's, I made it myself, took out the back seats, and I made, like, a raised sleeping platform so I could, like, sleep in the car. I don't have to pay for like, Airbnbs and, like, travel expenses and stuff like that. I just sleep in the car if I need to. I
Mm.
made there's storage compartments. I put a secondary car battery in there so I could charge up all my stuff all the time. But I put graphics on it real big. It says Bigfoot Mobile Command Center, and every other week, I would say, I'll be at, like, 7-Eleven or a convenience store or something like that, and somebody will come up to me and say, "Hey, I've never told anybody this before, but I saw a Bigfoot 30 years ago." And that's so wild, and it happens so frequently. It almost would shock you how frequently it happens. But
Right.
funny story is, so as I'm sure you do, you talk about Bigfoot a lot, right?
True.
And I know for me, if Bigfoot's my job, so I want a day off of my job every once in a while. So, like, I called my friend up this is a couple years ago. I called my friend up. I said, "Hey, we're gonna go out tonight and play some pool, but we're not gonna talk about Bigfoot. Bigfoot is off the table, right?" So we get there, get out of the car, slam the door, and what do I hear from across the parking lot? "Bigfoot!" And I'm like,
Oh
"Oh,
man.
no, here we go." So the guy comes over and he's like, "Hey, my grandfather has a Bigfoot cast that he's never shown anybody. Do you wanna see it?"
Well,
And I said, "No, I'm off tonight." No, I said, "Absolutely, of course I wanna see it, of course." So a couple weeks later, I go up to this gentleman's house, and he has not 1, 70 Bigfoot casts, all from Sussex
70?
County, that he's never shown anybody before. Yep.
And this you said Sussex County?
Yes, sir.
Whoa, so that's really interesting. Was he getting the tracks from an area that you hadn't researched before?
Gets them from all over the Kittatinny Ridgeline. Actually butts up against it, which is really cool. It's a place that I don't go because, especially during the summer, because there's are a ton of rattlesnakes, which is very interesting that he A is going up there himself and B pulling big footprints from the side of a cliff.
Your professional opinion looking at did the footprints look pretty legit or
Oh yeah, yeah. This guy didn't know how to mix the plaster of Paris at all, but
Mm.
the prints were there are some wonky ones there, but of course you're gonna get wonky ones when you have a 70 of them that have captured over the years. But the guy wasn't faking it. He wasn't gonna tell anybody about it ever. Like he was gonna die not telling anybody about this. So that's why I know that they're legit. Like he didn't even want me
Wow.
to come over. Like his grandson was the one who told me about it. Like he didn't call me.
Okay,
So
so you man, I feel like I need to put some Bigfoot stuff in my car now because that is incredible, man. Like, you never would have gotten that unless you had Bigfoot command center going on.
It's 100%, absolutely, yep.
Dude, I'm gonna look into it.
I
Check
do
out check
sell
out the
Bigfoot
Outback, so
stickers on my Etsy.
hey, we'll have to put that in the show notes for sure.
I
People
had
can
to
get those.
had to plug it. Had to.
Oh, yeah, totally. When you are out filming these expeditions, we've talked about there was an issue with a snake, you picked up a snake.
Yeah,
Have you run into any other animals when you're out there looking for Bigfoot? Any
yeah.
other yeah.
The most scared I've ever been in the woods before the most scared I've ever been in the woods, let me set the scene for you.
Mm.
Stokes State Forest, right before a public BFRO expedition. I was an investigator at the time, and we got out there a night prior, me and another investigator, and it was cold, but it was very there were no clouds, full moon, right? You could see casting a shadow, no question about it. So I had this one person tent, maybe, maybe like just as like you couldn't sit up in it type of thing. Like the only thing you could do is snuggle up and sleep in it. So since it was cold, I was under my two mummy sleeping bags, and I'm just got situated and I'm nice and warm and everything. And then it happened, right? Came up from the top and just the shadow started casting down. It came right over my head, then started dropping down. What was it? Spider.
Oh, gross.
Scared I've ever been. Most scared I've ever been in the woods. I
Ooh.
screamed like a little girl. But that's
Mm,
the three people ask me like, "Oh, you're not scared of bears in the woods?" Yeah, inherently bears are scary creatures, but if you don't mess with them, they're not going to mess with you type of thing. So the three things that I don't like in the woods: ticks, spiders, and people.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
People that's a great point. That's a creature that you don't know what's gonna happen if you're way out in the boonies and all of a sudden there's a person and you don't know if
Yeah.
they're actually out of control or if they've got a weapon or oof.
Inherently, as a Bigfoot researcher, you don't wanna see anybody else when you're researching.
Mm.
That's the goal of going out to look for Bigfoot. But we were in the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. This is what you were going off of what you were just saying. We were doing a it was a night and a half. It was a very weird night. We almost stepped on a bear, mama bear. No, it was baby bear. Mom was in the woods, but didn't. But anyways, we were driving through this village called Millbrook Village. It's an old historic village, not it's abandoned, but they fixed it up all nice. Anyway, there was a guy walking along the road. Nobody lives here, okay? And it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's in shorts and has a backpack on and flip flops, and it's cold. And I'm like, okay, something's not right. We got to stop. And we drive
Mm.
past him, and I'm like, guys, we got to turn around. And everybody else was like, wait, that's a ghost. We didn't, that's definitely not a person. That's just a ghost. And I'm like, no, it's not a ghost. It's a person. We got to stop. So we stop. This guy, he was having a medical emergency, psychiatric emergency, right? He was actually running away from his house,
Ooh.
and he was going to attempt to do the Appalachian Trail. And this is This was in February, he had his flip-flops on, he wasn't gonna make it the night type of thing.
No.
So we ended up finally, he wouldn't give up any information about, and I'm not, there's the state police out there, but they're just gonna lock him up in a hospital or something. So we ended up getting contacting his dad finally after hours of talking with him, and his dad came out and got him and stuff. So, and I wouldn't recommend anybody doing that, especially with somebody that's having a psychiatric emergency. As I mentioned
Sure.
though before, I'm an EMT, so I know how to handle those situations. But definitely wouldn't have made it the night. Talk about
Mm.
being in the right place at the right time, and that's just because we were looking for Bigfoot. God, if we weren't looking for Bigfoot out there, who knows what had happened to that guy?
What are the chances, dude, that,
Slim
just
to none. Yeah,
random EMT Bigfooter just happened to be in the right area so he could help a dude not have his last night? Like, good on you for sticking it out
yeah.
and making sure that he was good. Few questions that maybe the listeners might be trying to imagine that I would ask. Have you been fortunate enough to have any visual sightings of anything Bigfoot related yourself? Or are you still working towards that maybe someday?
Another funny story for you. We were down in the Pine Barrens, as we were just
Mhm.
talking about, along this river where we found footprints before, and we were walking, and it was me and my friend Tom, and all of a sudden, I was a little bit ahead of him, talked about being at the right place at the right time. Alls I hear is "floop," and I turn around, and he is literally up to his chest in mud. He fell
Whoa.
through, it was like quick mud. He lost his he lost his boots type of thing. Like, he wouldn't be able to get out if I wasn't there. So, if Bigfooters, if you're gonna go out, always try to go with another person. You never know what's gonna happen. It could be as freaky as getting caught in quick mud, but it
Mhm.
happens. Anyways, after this, we're walking, he doesn't have any boots on, he's a trooper, he's toughing it out, where he's like, "I see something." So I wasn't filming my show, I had a still camera, and I just pick up the still camera, I'm just snapping away, and I didn't see anything, he saw it. We went back and looked at the pictures, and it was actually like a little, blurry, like, tip of a head that you could possibly see that was, like, coming out over a rock.
Oh,
But
man.
it was so far away, you can't make it out. It could have been a deer. Nobody's ever gonna see that picture, you know what I mean? Have I seen anything? No, but I think I've come across everything but short of seeing one.
Mm, yeah, I get you. It's one of those things where I've been out 2 times, which is low number compared to yourself, but, I think we both would one day want to have that experience. There's that old question that always gets brought
Mm,
up, where
yeah.
how are you classifying this creature that you're trying to find? What is Bigfoot to you?
I go about researching and looking for this creature the way I would go about researching an extinct or expired animal. So I think they're biological creatures, and the evidence that I have found, aka footprints, I've been given some hair and stuff. Like, if they weren't of this dimension or whatever, this plane that we're on, I don't think they would leave too much physical evidence. But anyways, it's just, I think that you can't explain an unknown with another unknown. And I think when you have people that are of the realm of Bigfoot or UFOs or intradimensional creatures that no we don't have any knowledge of, you can't use that to explain something else. It just doesn't work like that. So when
Mm,
you have somebody that tries to use that logic to explain something away, it's just like, man, we got to think of the most simple. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right? So that's what I think Bigfoot is, except obviously a Bigfoot.
absolutely. So we've got definitely we're in the physical creature,
Yeah. Yeah.
something flesh and blood camp. So then going down that road, there's a few ways you could go off, right? Are you categorizing it in any specific? You have maybe something more ape-like, something more human.
Yeah.
Is there
I
any?
think I think it's got to be. It would be nice if we knew more about this creature, right? But we just don't, and that's the
Mm,
thing. I think we would be speculating at anything if we could guess at that, but I think personally that it's probably more human, but also has characteristics of primates. I don't think they're intelligent enough as we are. I
mm.
don't think Bigfoot can start a fire. I do think they have, like, means of communication, though, so they could talk to each other and communicate with each other. So that's where I think they could use primitive tools to be able to do their daily tasks and get food and stuff like that. That makes sense to me. So I think that they're, like, at a pre-Neanderthal level of existence when it comes to where we have evolved from and where they might be right now. I think they have evolved just like we did, except they took a totally different path coming over than we did.
If Bigfoot ever discovers fire, we are in a whole bunch
Oh,
of
man.
trouble. Can you imagine?
Yeah, forest fires everywhere.
That would be bad news, or, like, all of a sudden, you'd be in your campsite and this huge, like, torch would get thrown through your tent or something.
Yeah.
Oh, no thanks.
Yeah.
That would be some wild stuff. The big red eye is becoming definitely quite quite the quite the thing. You're sending out, a few graphics I've seen where you're trying to almost gather a team together. Can you talk a few minutes about what are certain people you're looking to join your team?
Yeah, so here's what it comes down to, and this might take your listeners by surprise, but Bigfooting isn't a priority for a lot of people. I do this full time. This is my life. Like
Oh,
I
wow.
go around, I support myself. I speak at libraries during the day. That's how I get to travel around to all these places. I set up a library tour, and I'll do 7, 10 libraries over a 12-day period and be camping that whole time, filming the show. It's really awesome. But yeah, it's like pulling teeth trying to get people to come out to some of these longer expeditions. I'm at a place where I'm able to compensate people now to come out and with their abilities, whether it be for filming. We're always looking for camera people to come out. I'm getting tired of holding the camera and filming myself. That's just what it comes down to, but it is what it is. But we're also looking for like somebody who will come out to these expeditions but manage and be the logistical operations person. Like we have an interview this time, so we need to leave here and get to the
Mhm.
library at this time. Just so it everything moves easy, and it's gotten to the point where I have to get more people to do this now, where it's become more of a I don't it's become big. It's getting
Right.
larger than myself. Like I said, I do this full time, and it's a full-time job editing the show, running my website, doing the library
Oh,
tours. I mean, that
yeah.
in itself is a full-time thing. So we're also looking for people to book podcasts and stuff like that, and just some of the stuff that it would take loads off my back, right? We're doing a sponsorship manager now where we're going around looking at companies that could have some items that they would want us to use on our show. We've got that unique following where all you need is a really good email and you could do some pretty amazing things.
Mhm. Let's say you have someone that is new to your channel. Do you have a top 3 videos that you would really want them to check out?
Yeah, first would be when I got bear maced.
Oh, yeah.
That would be number 1. Yeah. Yeah. No, number that some of the actual, like, legit episodes, I know there's some that I put out because I put out a video a week, and it's almost impossible for me to go on a Bigfoot expedition each week and then edit
Mm,
the show and whatever. That's why there's a lot of episodes from High Point and from Stokes and stuff like that from Sussex County because that's where I can get to logistically. But, check out some of the big longer episodes. There's a couple that are coming out that are really good. The Whitehall, New York one that we just had that howl or the whoop on, that one's coming out soon. And I know we just filmed up in the Catskills, so there's gonna be a Catskill episode coming out, which is really it's gonna be a really cool episode too. Just, yeah, check out some of the funny things. I have a thermal capture of a Bigfoot that I filmed in High Point that it could be a Bigfoot, I don't know what it was, but I filmed it on thermal during the day, and I actually filmed it on my regular camera during the day too, and I do a side-by-side comparison of what it was and stuff, so when we actually go back and do a recreation, that's something cool to see
Mm.
as well.
Do you have any advice for listeners that are like, I might want to go out and find some state forest with some Bigfoot action, go out there and see what I can do? Do you have any advice for the new researchers that are trying to get into it?
Yeah, and, I've been asked this question a lot. So
Hmm.
what I just did, because I can, is I made up a docu-series called Squatchables: How to Find a Bigfoot, Bigfooting 101. So just pick up a copy of Squatchables, it's $10 on our Etsy. No, but it's what it is, it's you gotta you don't wanna go out by yourself the first time, you wanna play it safe, but you also don't wanna go out with a complete stranger, bring one of your friends out and have the tools and equipment that you'll need to be able to that you would going on a hike. Be smart about it. I would scout out an area during the day first. That's what I do is I don't go to any area that I haven't been first during the day at night because that's dangerous, right? There could be loose rocks or ice or something that you didn't see. So always scope out a place during the day. But the biggest part about it is have fun. Have a good time when you're out there. Is like I said before, see something that you would see sitting on the couch and make it something that you are really interested in and make it how it's gonna be fun for you. There's no
Mm,
right or wrong way to look for Bigfoot, right?
absolutely. Yeah. That's at the end of the day, good Bigfoot outing is also a really good camping outing if you're
It's
doing
like
it right.
camping on steroids,
Yeah, pretty
absolutely.
much.
That's what I tell people, yep.
Do you have any things that you follow when you're trying to find, let's say, I'm going to this state and I'm looking for the good Bigfoot areas?
Here's the thing, when I do my tours, the way I find a place to squatch or a place to camp is I go and I map out my library locations, and then I pick a state park that's centralized to all of them.
Mm,
That just it logistically makes it easy for me. I can't be driving 3, 4 hours each day to get to a library. That just doesn't make any sense. So I'll camp in one of these areas that's centralized. Now, that may or may not be the squatchiest area that I can go bigfooting, but that doesn't mean anything to me because just as there are reports of Bigfoot, there are not reports of Bigfoot. People aren't reporting Bigfoot because either they're not there or maybe there's just nobody looking there. You need to have 2 things to report a Bigfoot, a person and a Bigfoot, and if there's no people looking for Bigfoot, you're not gonna find one. But I take that a step further, and what I'll do is during my library presentations, I'll just say and they're all local people, I'll say, "Hey, who here has seen a Bigfoot?" It's my first question that I ask, and people will come up to me, especially at the end of the thing, and say, "I saw a Bigfoot here and here in this park and this park," and then I'll go there. Why not? What are you doing?
it sounds so obvious, but like it's smart. Yeah. It just ask the people if
So
they've
local
seen a
knowledge,
Bigfoot.
that's where it comes down to.
I love it. I love it. That
Yeah.
is so awesome. Oh, Mike, it has been a fun chat with you. I'm glad we were able to actually
Can't
get
believe it's
a
been an hour. That's crazy.
get an interview. And this is if StreamYard doesn't mess this up, we might be cursed. But do you mind spending a few minutes reminding people how they can keep up to date with what you're doing, things that you can pick up on your Etsy, stuff like that?
Yeah, we have everything that you can imagine here in the Shadow of Big Red Eye. First and foremost, if you'd wanna know anything about the show, head over to our website, shadowofredeye.com. That's a great place to find all of our YouTube episodes, what's coming up, our tours, where our next appearances are gonna be, all that good stuff. YouTube is In the Shadow of Big Red Eye or at Shadow of Red Eye. That's our bread and butter. You guys can go ahead and, if you want to, subscribe. But the cool thing is, and I will even give you permission to do this, is run my videos in the background all night and day so I get the watch hours up so I can start making money off of YouTube. But now the we also have an email list. You can reach out to any of our social pages to get signed up for our email list, which has some really cool Etsy deals and stuff. Which you also have an etsy.com/shop/shadow of red eye. We have really cool Bigfoot ornaments because this is the time of the year. that is coming out now, right? So look at these guys. How freaking adorable are these things? Christmas ornaments, right?
That's pretty sweet. I like that.
Yeah,
That's good
yeah.
stuff.
But anyways, yeah, yeah, I'm not hard to find. If anybody has wants me to come to their area and speak at a library out by them, or has some interesting stuff that they would like to share with me, you're more than welcome. Find me on any platform of social media. I'm very open.
Awesome. Are you really only waiting on your 4,000 hours watch time for the
Yes, sir.
channel?
Yeah.
Holy mackerel! Because 'cause you're over like 2K. Okay, so
Yeah.
Bigfoot Society, I'm gonna talk directly to every listener for a second. Please make sure you're subscribed to Mike's channel, hit the bell like you do on Bigfoot Society so you don't miss anything, and then please just watch a few episodes, a lot of episodes, because the fact that Mike hasn't hit 4,000, like, we need to fix that for him. We're gonna hopefully fix that for you, Mike. Thank you so much for coming on. It has been a really fun chat. We can't wait
Yeah.
to see what comes down the pipe from you guys next, but thank you so much for coming on, man.
Hey, next time out in your area, I will let you know for sure.